Hello, and welcome back to the Black365 Art Series. I'm your host, Andrea Diggs. Our ancestors are woven into the fabric of our everyday lives, and you will hear that in this spoken word poem entitled I Lift Up by Mr. Sean Witzel. Mr. Witzel is a playwright, poet, and actor, and I challenge you to count how many names you hear spoken, and then ask yourself, how many of their stories do you truly know? The ones you don't? Take the time to learn and let your soul be more rich for doing so. We hope you enjoy.
My name is Sean Witzel, and this is a spoken word piece I wrote called I Lift Up. I lift up the unknown names of every African who had their feet violently ripped from the soil of the motherland, taken to the bowels of the ship, the belly of the beast, chained to foreign tongues, sailed through middle passage to distant lands, placed on auction block to be sold into misery along with their unborn descendants. I lift up the name of Frederick Douglass, formerly enslaved, used the intelligence and education they never wanted him to have, weaponized his pen, raised his voice to shape change. I lift up the name of Minty, more famously known as Harriet Tubman, Black Moses. Remove the shackles from her feet, put her life on the line to return her people to the arms of freedom. I lift up the name of Sojourner Truth, escaped slavery with her daughter in tow, legally regained son, challenged racism, and fought for women's rights. Ain't I a woman, she asked. I lift up the name of Langston Hughes, a masterful poet who made words dance on the page, fueled renaissances in Harlem. His words reverberate in the consciousness of artists today. I lift up the name of James Baldwin, outspoken and unapologetic, painted black stories with his pens and held America accountable for its sins. I lift up the name of Bayard Rustin, who strategized and organized the March on Washington from the shadows, built the throne for a king to sit and dream out loud. I lift up the name of Gordon Parks, photographer and filmmaker. His eyes captured images given birth by the struggle, fought racism and poverty with each flash of his camera. I lift up the name of Empress Nina Simone, a musical genius, soundtracking the struggle with black liberation theology. I lift up the name of Fred Hampton, chairman, who had a way with words, filled the bellies of black children, and challenged the status quo. I am a revolutionary. I lift up the name of Coretta Scott King, more than a wife and mother, an accomplished musician and activist in her own right, who continued to pound the drum of freedom long after her husband's last heartbeat. I lift up the name of Queen Mother Betty Shabazz and Arthur Ashe. I lift up the names of Marcus Garvey and Jackie Robinson. I lift up the name of Shirley Chisholm and Dorothy Height, Jesse Owens and Bessie Coleman, Ethel Waters and Gwendolyn Brooks, Phyllis Wheatley and Marian Anderson, Alvin Ailey and Ella Baker, Huey P. and Muhammad Ali, W.E.B. and Booker T. and many, many ancestors. The ancestors. I lift them like they lift me.